And I think that's just part of him being like a science, like a
man of science.
A man of science and wanting to see things through. You can't help it. You just want to see these things.
That's what I felt.
Yeah, I think that too. I think all of that plays into it.
But if you know the damage that what you're creating can cause, why do you want to continue to go through with it if it's not for the cause that you're going for?
I feel like it's like for those same thoughts could be for the person who created the first gun.
Yeah.
The person who created like certain things that like you don't look at it as. You don't really look at the aftermath of the consequences of it. Because in the middle of it, it's like, I'm creating something that's never been done before.
Right, and that's all you're focused on.
And you're fascinated, you're drunk off
ego.
Yeah.
The Frames Per Second podcast.
What's going on? It's your boy Nick. I'm here with Miss Naturally Nay.
Hello.
Modest Media.
What's up? How you doing, man?
I'm good, sir. Kenneth Bienge.
What up?
And you're now tuned into the Frames Per Second podcast. And in this episode, we are reviewing the latest film from I guess he's probably like one of the top 5 directors out right now.
People love him.
Top 5, maybe top 10. Maybe top 10.
What I'm saying,
it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, because I think
love
like
him.
how many directors do you know, like regardless of what they got coming out, they getting a $100 million audience.
Yeah, it's very rare that people are like the director is the draw.
Is the draw, exactly.
Yeah, I think he definitely is the draw, but I still think, people like Steven Spielberg,
I think
Coppola, I think they still like top. I think it's still a top 5 that he doesn't quite fall into.
I think
yet.
he's 5th on that list.
You think so?
I think he's 5th.
I don't know if he's 5th because you got Martin Scorsese, Steven, Martin Scorsese,
Michael Bay.
I don't know if he's on it. I think he's 10 too.
Michael Bay definitely 10.
Yeah, I think he falls into the 10. But damn, man, it's who did Godfather?
Frank.
He's up. He's top 5. Yeah, he's top 5.
I'm talking about like right now. I ain't talking about all the time.
Right now he's probably 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm like.
I thought you talking about.
You bring them old niggas. No.
Oh yeah. So they solidified as top 5.
I'm just talking about like right now. Like he's a director.
I got you.
If he's coming out, people are coming out. But yeah, we're talking about Christopher Nolan and his latest film, Oppenheimer. Nay.
Yep.
Are you a fan of history?
Of history?
Like what? Like history?
Am I a history buff?
Yeah, like documentaries.
Yeah, I do like documentaries. I do like it depends on the what we're looking at. I'm not just a general history buff.
Got just like specific figures and stuff like that. So was Oppenheimer on that list?
It was not.
Is he on the list after this?
It is not. It is not.
Wow.
I didn't like it
at all.
It was very, 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 very boring. I was not interested enough in. I would have rather watched this be about goddamn Albert Einstein than Oppenheimer. I was not interested in this character. I was not interested in this man or his impact in history. I really wanted to get more on his dealing with what he did than the process of doing what he did. I just needed more bomb. I needed more stars. I needed more flash because all of this dialogue I could have done without.
Right.
I had no desire to see this film. Like I don't know if I ever said that anywhere. It probably was just off air. But
you said it about like 5 times.
I did. I'm sure I have. But because you asked the same question you asked her, like history. Like I've never just been a history buff. You know what I mean? Like it just wasn't that interesting to me. I wish I was interested in it, but I just wasn't. But regarding the movie though, I actually thought it was a compelling story. So I was pleasantly surprised that, it kept my attention for the most part. And I think he did a good job with it. It definitely was a lot of dialogue, but I don't really mind heavy dialogue if the story is compelling enough. I watch a lot of Quentin Tarantino and stuff like that, and I know he has a lot of dialogue. So yes, it could have been more bomb and all that, but no, I mean, I thought it was a compelling story. I found myself interested in who Oppenheimer was and how he related to the Einsteins and stuff like that. I thought that was really interesting, actually.
Ken?
The first 28 minutes felt like an hour. It was really weird because I remember looking at my watch. I was like, God damn. We
man.
haven't really moved anywhere.
Man.
You know, it was just really setting him up and carving out like who he is. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I saw it twice. So I saw it in.
Yikes. 6 hours of this, Kenneth?
Yeah.
Why did you see it twice?
Well, I saw it in Dolby Cinema, which is a hell of an experience. With the seats moving and stuff like that.
I saw it in Dolby too.
And then I went back and saw it in the 70 millimeter.
You did?
Yep.
How was 70 millimeter? Was it just like IMAX?
You were probably, yeah.
It was like IMAX,
yeah. But it held up. It held up the second time. As a matter of fact, it was a little bit more interesting because I knew the story.
That's what I saw.
Oh, you knew the story?
No, when I went to watch it the second time. Yeah.
I saw it twice too.
Damn.
Only because, first of all, y'all know how I am with movies and movie links, right? I'm notorious for that. They could have took out 40 minutes of this movie. At least.
But you went back and watched it again.
I watched it twice because the first time I fell asleep. I fell asleep. Like, it was crazy. My first viewing experience. I still watched the movie, but like I fell asleep. Like once I realized like that first 20 minutes, like, oh, we just doing some cookie cutter shit that I can Wikipedia. I dozed off a little bit. I came back up. I see Florence Pugh riding that nigga. With the titties out, I'm like, hold on, where we at? What happened?
That's how came out of nowhere.
But yeah, no, I it was like when the movie ended, I was like, wait a minute. They took 3 hours to tell a movie about a hater.
Man.
That's what I was saying, bro.
I was like, yo,
man,
that's all this is.
When I got the second, it hit me the second, because the first time I was like, why, like, it heavily features Robert Downey Jr.'s character in the second half. And I was like, why are they focusing on that point? Like, because like when you think about the history of this incident, it's like they don't really mention that kind of stuff. This movie goes in hella detail about it. And then the second time, I'm like, his punk ass was upset about that conversation from the jump. And it did a full circle how he ain't shit.
That's all the movie was about. I was like, yo, that's crazy. Like, I was like, wow.
Shit.
But I like the movie. I like this movie. I'm glad I picked it as my number one choice.
I was gonna ask
because
I
picked that my number one choice because I knew it was gonna be the most intriguing movie I've seen.
So it still held up.
This is the most intriguing movie.
Yeah, like I've had it. Like, I'll be honest, it's not the most enjoyable. Like, it's not like, I feel like it's like Godfather, right? You got to be in the mood to watch it because it's a 3-hour type of film that's done incredibly well. So it's not like an enjoyable, easygoing movie. I give you that, but I think it is very like, I like history, so like I like learning about stuff. So I grew up watching documentaries and all that stuff. So like I like learning about not only the person but like how they got to where they got to, because you see him in the room with the math, like doing it. You see him talking to literally fucking Albert Einstein, trying to check the math, like to make sure you hear him having these conversations with the admirals and the lieutenants and stuff about like how if this shit gets fucked up, we
so you like American history?
And Albert Einstein was like, nah, bro, I'm good.
He was like, nigga, this gonna fuck you up. You better stop this shit right now.
He was like, hey, tried to leave him the paper. He was like, nah, bro.
Nigga, I'm going to the woods. I'm going to the woods. I ain't doing it.
I would say I like American history, and I like certain African culture histories too. Like, it's very interesting to see, like, especially American history has so much mixed up like stuff of different cultures and how white folks treated them. This is also another movie I thought white on white crime, because it was like white people just really just hating on each other and how that shit play out.
Sure was.
Like, it was just like I took those things out of it. I would not like I had some homies like ask me like, what you think about it? I was like, bruh, don't see this movie if you care about your day. Like, you gotta have not shit going on and see it early in the morning. The lead actor, Cillian Murphy, I'm a big fan of his because of Peaky Blinders. And he's been in a bunch of Christopher Nolan movies too, going back from
Scarecrow, right?
Yeah, Scarecrow. And he was also I think he's been in like 6 of his movies. But he's a really good actor, but he picks he's very selective about his roles he picks. So I was interested in getting y'all thoughts on his character or like his performance.
I think the performances in this movie all the way around were pretty good. Like, he was engaging. There's something about his look that's really haunting, and something about his face that like it makes me feel like some shit is finna pop off. But no, I feel like he did a really good job.
I feel like you looked at him. I looked up how Oppenheimer looked. And he looks like him. I was like, oh shit, yeah,
sure, yep,
yeah. And they did that, but no, I think he did a really good job, man. I believed him. I believe he was a physicist or like somebody of that expertise. So no, he did a good job, man.
I would love to know who he talked to get down Oppie's, mannerisms. First of all, I'm a doctor. Why the hell are you calling me Oppie throughout the whole movie? I thought that was disrespectful. But anyway, but yeah, to get down his mannerisms and stuff like that. Did he watch any like YouTube documentary videos and stuff like that?
Yeah.
What did y'all think about this story as far as us being with the Nazis and like going into like Oppenheimer's recruitment with like Matt Damon's character, and like the intensity comes from this part of the movie where like it's a race against the Russians and like the Nazis when it comes to this technology, because everybody's trying to create the most powerful weapon to attack somebody else.
Well, it's almost like they're like Steve Jobs, because somebody else figured out how to do the shit. They just figured out a way to make it do what they had it do. And then even he, like the other guy, went to the machines and did a little machines. It was like, and then he was on the board talking about, writing it out. And then the guy was like, oh yeah, it works. So he came in and looked at it, and then they collaborated. They came together and built the bomb. I thought it was interesting that he was like, oh shit. When he realized that, they figured out how to do it. So the next logical step is to build a bomb. So we need to get on that ourselves. So
I was wrong. Tenet was before this one, but no one counts Tenet because the way it came out.
I was gonna let you live.
Nah, because the Reddit motherfuckers wasn't gonna let me read. But I like, this is the part of history that I like, seeing how we like, or not we, but how America got shit done.
Cause it ain't no we.
Yeah, we wasn't thought about. There was only one nigga in this movie. I think.
No, it was the one in the crowd when he did that.
I think
speech.
that's the same nigga.
Yeah,
it might be.
The one that
It was
you
a
might be
woman
right.
in the class. It was a black woman.
Yep, it was a black
one of
woman.
them walked them to the. He was with a few other scientists, and he walked.
It wasn't that many. We can count them on one hand.
Yeah, on one hand.
I mean,
literally-
it makes sense.
No, it made complete sense.
I was surprised if it was that. Like,
I
was
was
like,
too.
wait,
Because affirmative action
they
wasn't around.
letting black girls into the class.
Affirmative action wasn't
Right,
around.
right.
Yeah,
I was surprised about how many stars.
there
were in
probably
this
would have been more women there than black people. On top of that,
For sure.
There were a lot of like stars in this movie.
I was surprised by that.
Like, and I think it's because of Christopher Nolan. Like, people just like working with him.
Yeah.
He would have them in small parts.
So what I heard is that when he calls, you pick up the phone. So in his mind, so my wife told me this, like, she said somebody spoke about it. I can't remember the person. Maybe it was Matt Damon, but he said that when he makes a movie, he already has in mind the person he wants to play it, and he calls them and pitched them the role. And then, of course, since it's Christopher Nolan, they don't turn it down.
Speaking of Matt Damon, what did you think of his performance?
No, I enjoyed Matt Damon. He was probably one of the better parts of the film for me. Like, I always kind of like perked up when he was on the screen. I just liked his energy in comparison to Oppenheimer. Like, their energy was so different, and the way it was like he really didn't give a fuck about who Oppenheimer was. Right? It's like, no, you can't tell me no. But then Oppenheimer wasn't no bitch either. He was like, but that's my job to tell you no. So watching them bounce back and forth in their energy, and up to the end where he was like, well, I'll let you know what's up if I can, if I feel like it, basically. Like, as much as I can.
Right.
Like,
this is out of our hands at this point.
I loved how, like, right when the job was done, Mr. White Man was like, all right, bet. You
Yeah,
can go.
thank you.
All that
They
shit,
packed
bro.
up his shit. It's like, all right, we got it.
Thank you.
And his colleague like told him that up front. He's like they need you until they don't, or whatever. And that's exactly what he showed him. We don't need you anymore.
That shit was funny. He was like, "Oh, can I go with you?" He was like, "What for?"
Right.
He was like, "Oh, damn."
You're right.
I guess,
Damn,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
What did you think about Oppie's struggle with, like, all the morality and, like, integrity, I guess, that came with the bomb, like, creating this bomb, this, huge weapon of mass destruction? Like, did it make sense for, like, those scenes to be included in this movie to show how you struggle with it?
Yeah. Nah, for sure. I mean, Shorty had like a moral compass and things like that. What you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
But did it
okay.
matter if he made it anyway?
Did what matter?
Like, his feelings for doing what he was supposed, like, his job.
So kind of like when he was being drilled about when did your moral, I forgot the phrase, came into play. So you know what, Nick? I don't know. I've been thinking about this because on one hand it feels like bullshit.
What feels like bullshit?
His moral objections to creating the bomb.
Oh, okay.
But at the same time, because it came sort of after the fact,
Yeah.
you knew exactly what this thing was going to do. People were telling you. There was a whole discussion about it, and you vouched to continue to do it. Because they were like, oh yeah, Hitler put a bullet in his head. We don't need to do this anymore. He was like, oh well, they're still the Japanese people. We still got to do it. We're still at war with them. Mm-hmm. So there were constant reminders of what this thing could do, and he still pushed forward because he is a theorist at the end of the day. So he still has the hunger and stuff for the science and the building of the bombs. You don't think so?
Tell him, nigga.
He was arrogant. And that was the thread of the issue, the whole movie. That's why he treated women the way he did. That's why he cheated. He felt like his brilliance was entitlement for him to do whatever the fuck he wanted. And I think that he struggled with trying to be the best and be known and be that man, be the man, and be the one who did it, which is why he felt like he could go to the president and tell you what I think you should do, and he actually take him seriously and not say you get your crybaby ass out of the room. I think that there was a certain entitlement and a certain level of arrogance that he struggled with throughout the whole movie.
So you're on Strauss's side.
Huh?
You're on Strauss's side.
Yeah.
When especially during the speech, and I know we all over the place, but like especially during the speech when he's like, yeah, it would have been better if it, not better, but I wish I had it for the
for the Nazis.
For the Germans or whatever.
But even I love that scene too because it was they used sound in that scene really well. Like that scene, it was like he was saying that, but you could tell he was just saying, he was throwing out bullshit.
He was feeding it to the crowd.
Yeah, but then like
bullshit.
he was in his real mind, he was like, bro, I'm killing kids. I'm killing, and not even killing them, like mutilating them because this bomb.
Is that ego though?
Is that ego or not? Or not? In what's they call that? Curiosity or
ego-driven curiosity.
Scientific curiosity.
Yeah, but how is it ego if this is your
nobody's done this before? I'm finna be the first.
Yes. Yeah, but think about that in any aspect. Like say
it is
for
ego.
It is ego. I'm not doing things that I do out of ego. Like
I think you are, but you are.
I don't. It doesn't. It's not coming from an egotistical place though.
It is.
It's coming from a creative place.
No. The two can get very.
All right, hold on.
What?
Explain it, and Jay, I want you to follow up with it.
So I think that. So it's very difficult for one to check one's ego, right? Because it does drive so many things that makes things great, right? But there is a certain element of I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to be the first. Nobody else has done this, and there's a certain element of selfishness and self-centeredness and ego in that. Does that mean that you're going to sometimes get some great things because of that? Sure, but you have to be able to check. Like ego is a big driving force in people's psyche. It just is.
Yeah, it's not that. I think you hear ego and you automatically think negative.
Right.
You can abuse your ego and it can be negative, but our ego motivates us because we want things for ourselves. You may not want exuberant validation, but when you do something great, you want people to be like, yeah, that was good, or I enjoyed that. So that's still your ego because it feeds what you have. Mm-hmm. Now, I still disagree that it was all ego because even with the part of when the Germans were out of the war and they were talking to that, I can't remember, they were in that room, he was trying to say, we don't need to do this to Japan because they're the only ones left fighting, but they said that Japan wouldn't stop fighting. That's why they dropped the bomb. He was in that room saying, I don't think this needs to be done. Like, we don't need to kill civilians. So I don't think it was just that I want people to see my creation. It was like, all right, I created it, cool. So, but it's a lot. This is why it makes this movie great to me, is because there's so many through lines, like there's so many different things, and how if you was this person going through all this, you're seeing the turmoil on the screen. So
it also feels like from the start of the movie, they show that he was just obsessed with like the science, looking at the ripples in the pond and
the glass.
He was really driven by trying to figure out like this thing.
He couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I do, like I said, I think Jalen's point is exactly what I'm trying to vocalize. Like, just because it's ego doesn't necessarily mean it's negative. But at some point in time, especially if you know what you're doing, it can be of great damage. At what point do you check your ego and stop?
I just feel like when you say, go ahead.
No, that's it. Go ahead.
I just feel like when you say ego, it just feels very selfish.
For me, this movie is my prime example of it's easier to be a great man than a good man. Which is why I keep going out. That's how I wanted y'all to have that conversation, because that's basically what it is. You could do all this great shit, but at the cost of what?
That's crazy.
The bomb is also the second biggest lead of this movie, because we all anticipating that motherfucker. What did y'all think about that moment when we're anticipating the push of the button.
I was like, finally.
It held up. Like it still was very long to that point, but when we got to that point, it was just like, oh shit, here we go. Wow. That you had the smaller version and the big version.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's interesting too, because it was always like a bigger one and a smaller one that they dropped. So I was just like, oh, that's wow.
Yeah.
And they never really showed it, but they just showed them kind of putting it in there and carrying it and carrying it away. I thought that was dope.
Then when they dropped the shit, the motherfucker missed. He was off target.
Crazy,
man.
Yeah, this is. I'm sorry that happened to y'all. But I mean, y'all. I mean, shit. Pearl Harbor. I mean, come on.
Pearl Harbor did set shit
You
off.
can't just, bro.
But at the same time, Pearl Harbor was literally just dealing with like the army and shit.
I understand
it had
that.
nothing to do with
You should know America don't fuck around, bro.
Yeah, when you punch America, they shoot you.
They
Go further. They go further than you.
They were not letting that shit go, bro. They were going to retaliate, and they sent
crazy,
one of the worst messages in history. But shit, look at the towers. They went and fucked up a whole other country. That didn't have shit to do with it.
Yeah, again, that mindset of we just gonna fuck shit up just cause
Bruh,
continues throughout the century. But yes, those are our thoughts on Oppenheimer. Please let us know what you guys think. FPS Podcast is the Reddit thread. That's also a handle for IG and Twitter. And we'll catch you on the next review. We out. Peace.